we as companies can survive them, what we need to do. You can share out your opinions.
I think one of the major things coming in the pipeline is going to be revolving around the I-140 petition. That seems to be the magic petition. We're looking at regulations that might extend the validity of an I-140 petition, meaning that even if your company withdraws it, when someone leaves, the I-140 will still be valid without AC-21 or filing of the 485. That's one regulation that's being looked at. And we also have the I-140 EAD has been getting a lot of press lately, where they're going to possibly allow anyone who has an I-140 that's been approved. We don't know if it has to be approved for 1 year. That was one of the topics discussed, or if it's just any approved I-140 can get an EAD rather than waiting to file the 485 to get it. So I think going forward for employers, the name of the game is going to be survival of the fittest. You've got to be ready to adapt and change and be able to move quickly so that you can survive these changes, because they're definitely going to have an impact on your business. These changes are meant to increase job mobility for the employees, which unfortunately for employers means that you might lose employees. So you've got to come up with a way to solve that problem. So just be prepared for that coming.
I think I'll go ahead and talk about some of the perm changes. These are definitely on the horizon. I know we've all talked about the perm process, and it really isn't realistic when you really look at the requirements. One of the changes that I think really would make a lot of sense is to categorize positions into two schedules. One where there's a shortage for positions, and it's known that there's a shortage, and then one where there's a surplus of positions. And by having those two categories, they can change the requirements slightly, make the requirements more realistic, not including necessarily the print advertisements, and those that are that there's a shortage, that they will have different requirements. In that as well, they will focus more on the online recruitment. They also are talking about a possibility of an expedited process, which I think would be really important, and it may be limited to those individuals that need that expedited process. Maybe they're reaching the end of their 6 years and they need to get to the I-140 stage. So it may not include everybody, but it will at least have some criteria that individuals would have to meet to allow for that expedited process. I also think one of the other areas that has caused a lot of issues is a non-material error on the ETA form. If there is a denial and it's simply because of a typo, or maybe the year was 2016 instead of 2015 or something like that, it doesn't make sense to, when you did all the recruitment, that's something that is a typo on the application. It didn't affect the recruitment. Everything you did was bona fide. They're looking at possibly allowing a little bit of flexibility on that when there's non-material changes or errors.
Thank you, Kimberly.
I was just going to make a comment that we are in an election cycle, so I don't expect any big changes to happen. Nobody wants to stick their neck out during an election cycle. And one thing that we can't predict is what litigation is going to come up. But I think that's where we've had a lot of good and interesting changes on kind of both sides of the situation, is that people who are willing to step up and actually challenge things that are going on that are unfair and push through things that we want are the ones who are probably going to be there for the litigation. And you can't really predict it, but I think, as Emily said, you really need to be willing to look at all your options and be adaptable, because that's kind of the name of the game. So are we going to survive? Probably. We're all going to survive, but we won't look the same in 2 to 3 years because the landscape will change.
Yeah. Thanks for that hope. Well, thank you all for your valuable opinions. We'll now take questions and answers. Questions?